Hi, I'm Bradley Charles Stubbs. Expect to win, done, done, done. I drive the drivers, I lead the leaders, I coach the coaches, I mentor the mentors. I get results. Like I said, it's belief, energy and focus. You want the results? Give me a call. I don't expect to win coach. I work with some of the biggest coaches in the world and businesses, and what I do is I change their thinking and I teach expect to win. So I got my own programs, and one of those programs is the science of belief, and I get people to believe before they actually achieve it.
Why would you want to listen to me if I had no results? So if you want to be number one, you want to break that record, if you don't trust yourself, who's going to trust you?
If you want to change things, you've got to change the way you think.
Hey, it's Michael Maguire here from South Sydney Rabbitohs. I'd just like to chat about Bradley Charles Stubbs. I've had 2 years working with Bradley now. He brings a great ability to have a real good, strong mindset inside your organisation.
He's going to challenge you. He's going to challenge you the way that you are thinking and the way that you do things.
You're winning a game, a grand final, or getting that contract. I will win. I expect to win. This will be done. Done, 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 done.
Some pretty big names and faces in that little collage, but the common denominator was, of course, Bradley Charles Stubbs, who came to light midway through the NRL season through an article by Andrew Webster. And it was an interesting outline of not only Brad's work with, at the time, Trent Robinson, but a whole stack of other very well-known coaches too at national and club level. The interesting thing was, before that time, it was a bit of a secret. So we've got him on the show to explain what it's all about, maybe give a little bit of that secret away, and thanks to Jimmy for helping this make this happen, because he doesn't do this too often. Bradley Charles Stubbs, welcome to Bill and Boss.
Welcome to the show.
Mark, Bill, Trent and Jimmy, thank you for having me on. I watch the show all the time. If I'm not at home, I record it because I watch. I got to know what's going on in the world. So I'm addicted to your show.
Thanks, mate. I appreciate it.
Brilliant.
How did the relationship, let's start with the most recent success, and that is with the Roosters in 2018. How did that relationship with Trent Robinson start? And explain how we had the mind coach John Novak here on a previous show. He works directly with players one-on-one. You work with the coach.
Yeah, well, actually, on the 15th of December 2017, I just fronted him at training, and I watched his training. He come over, and I just introduced myself, and I said, and I just thought I'd come down and give you some 1% to help you win the grand final. And an hour and 45 minutes later, I left.
But he didn't engage you straight away, did he? So how does that...
So what happened is he was supposed to ring me before the start of the year, and he didn't ring me. And then after the 6 rounds, he gave me a call and he said, what do we do? And I said, well, you need to go to Nick and tell him you want to work with me and organise it. And then after 6 rounds, I had 3 wins, 3 losses. I started working with Trent. It's pretty simple.
Rest is history.
Graham Arnold had wonderful success with him. Now, but it was a special thing, it wasn't it with Graham Arnold. You worked with Graham Arnold, Mike Conway worked with the players, is that right? Yeah.
I just work with the coaches. Look,
that's the most important thing, because remember the season before, his 2 seasons of success, not just last season, the season before, he had let's say a dodgy season. They didn't make the top 6. He had a few problems as well with the press. I remember that time.
Yeah, I saw him.
So, but those 2 years, he had pretty much unrivaled success. So talk us through that relationship. So one works with the players, you work with the manager. What do you focus on the most?
Okay, so the reason I've been named the Coach Whisperer is because I've got a journalist in England called Johnny Davidson. When I was working with Eddie Jones in English Rugby, he named me the Coach Whisperer, and it just stuck. So what I do is I look at a client and I look at all the energy and I watch everything that's going on there. I watch the opposition. So just say, for an example, we're playing this side this week and we're playing another side in 5 weeks' time, and I see something in the media that I see a 1% energy shift. I write it down so it's there for the start of the week, and I get them to accumulate all their belief, energy and focus in one direction, and everything's focused on out there. So, you know, what do? I get people results. And how do I do that? I just change the way they think. And I teach them a belief that is so strong, because I've actually researched the subconscious mind for over 35 years, that they actually manifest the result. And I'm just the same as anyone else. Everyone's got the talent. I've just spent 35 years. Now I actually teach it to people.
Now,
Sorry, Boz, that's interesting. So you had your own promising surfing career, and now we find you at this point 35 years later. What happened in that period?
Well, I was on the pro circuit. had a car accident, I got injuries, shattered me dream, had a nervous breakdown, locked me up in the acute psychiatric ward, padded cell, straitjacket, the whole lot, 4 weeks in one day. And when somebody goes through that, they have a relapse, and I spent 6 weeks in one day in another acute psychiatric ward. And I learnt survival, and I learnt instincts about humans that I've never learnt before. And this day and age, they call it mental health. Back in the 80s, I got, labelled as a loony, a freak, and it stopped me getting in so many doors. But I wouldn't change anything, because now the amount of people I've helped not commit suicide, I couldn't give you the numbers. And I wouldn't change it, because that's where I learnt things about myself, and I understood the power of belief and the power of the mind.
Now, coming back onto that, so let's take it, you've worked with some elite coaches. We've mentioned Trent Robinson, Graham Arnold. Obviously, there's Michael Maguire, Michael Checker, when they got to the Rugby League World Cup final, the last World Cup. Eddie Jones as well, who had a wonderful start to his English career. What would your advice be, but to say, if, for example, one of the bottom teams in one of our codes come to you, like, say last year, Central Coast Mariners in the A-League, or Parramatta in the NRL, or was it Carlton in the AFL?
Well,
how would you approach that? Would that be a lot different, Bradley, than it would be for the top teams?
It's exactly the same. The whole thing is, I've approached that many teams, I've lost track. And some people, they ask me, things, and they just don't even give me a chance. And I've been very fortunate, because you've got to find the coaches that are willing to learn. Because what I do, it's not logic. It's all about, belief, and it's about the science of belief to understand what you can actually achieve in life. And now we're actually teaching it out there to, we're in schools now. So we're actually...
But you would have no problem with going... If those teams approached you, you would have no problem in going to those teams.
I had 4 approaches this year from A-League coaches. I said to them all, I will work with you on one condition. We will go out and win the triple. And so far, none of those coaches have actually won the triple, and none of them have contracted me.
To get down to the nuts and bolts of it, Bradley, words like hope, want and maybe are banned.
There's no energy in them. They've got no power.
And how do you apply that? Is that in the language of the players? Is it in the language of the coach?
Because I work...
She talks to the players?
Because I work directly with the coach, because the coach is the most important person. So when I work with a client, first thing I do is I've got to make them trust themselves. And why I'm building belief. And with that, I teach them the power words and what affects the subconscious mind. I've researched the subconscious mind for over 35 years. So I've studied the human being. I've gone out there and tested it with real people and got unbelievable results.
What about the predictions? I think Graham Arnold was famous in his time at Sydney FC when you were working with him, coming out. I don't know whether it was Adelaide United or what he said, we'll win 6-0.
That was Perth?
It was Perth, was it? And then I think you made the prediction to Blake Solly, the CEO of the South Sydney Rabbitohs. He said, you guys will only win 3 of your next 6 and the Roosters will go on and win the comp.
Yeah, well, actually, I was having coffee with Jimmy. Jimmy said to me, I said, I'm getting stalked by this guy on LinkedIn, the CEO. And he said, it's not the St George guy. And I said, no, he's in the room. He said, Blake Solly. I said, yeah. He said, would you like to meet him? So Jimmy actually took me over to meet him, and I said, look, all your energy's all over the place at the moment. And he said to me, so who's going to win? I said, the Roosters will win the double. Can I tell you something that you don't want to hear? And he said, yeah. I said, in the next 6 games, you'll lose 3 out of the next 6. I could see that they wouldn't make the grand final. I told people 10 weeks that Melbourne would knock them out in the first round of the finals. And everyone goes, well, wait on. Melbourne or South are going to actually win the minor premiership. My son said to me after we got beat by Melbourne 1 point, I said, we'll still win the minor premiership. He said, Dad, we're 6 points behind. I said, belief creates miracles. I told everyone, the people that listened to me, Penrith will go down and beat the Storm down in Melbourne. People said they've never won in Melbourne ever. They haven't won since 2012. And when you teach what I teach, it's like a road sign. From here to the Gold Coast, it tells you how many kilometres. And when you understand what I teach, you see a road map. A road map come up with a sign on the Thursday. Kathy, my wife, sent me a text and said, we just got a miracle. Friday, she sent me a text and said, we just got 2 miracles. The universe sends things, and when you understand what I do, you see the road signs telling you, that's where you're going. Sorry.
Watch out for your chair.
The first standing
it out.
guest on
And-
Bill and Boz.
Bill and Boz is going to be number one in the sports program on the
That's
planet.
it. Done,
There we
done,
go.
done,
There we
done.
go. Done.
But the thing is, Bill,
Yeah, why don't you come on? Why don't you get him on a Monday for the Melbourne Cup?
I was thinking more like Liverpool this morning against Red Star.
yeah,
We've all been rich.
but the unique thing about this is everyone in the world has got this talent. We're in the schools now teaching, you know when you've got kids at school that they're scallywags? We're teaching teachers our program to actually change the scallywags. You change 10 scallywags in a school, you change the whole school. The results that we've had with a government school already is absolutely mind-blowing, unbelievable what is happening.
One last thing before we let you go, because we've got to get to a break. Are you working with anyone next season or anyone over the summer?
At the present moment, I'm working with the Pakistan women's cricket coach.
Okay.
And what did they just win?
They just won a competition. They beat the Asian champions 3-0.
Did you predict it?
They done a record. They done a record. They beat the Pakistan women's 3-0 and they bowled them out for 30 runs. And the first time ever, a Pakistan woman is number one in the world for the 50 overs. And one of the bowlers is number 3 and number 8. Now, the reason I'm working with them, they approached me, the coach approached me, and the significance for Pakistan women in the world to go out and win in sport is a massive significant for women of the Pakistan race in the world.
Yeah.
Now, before you go, Bradley, as we know in all of life, there are skeptics and there are believers. There are people, the majority of people in between, who don't know which way to swing. To get them to swing, to be a believer, what would your message be to those people?
I look and I go, you can have the greatest life you can ever have. What my job is to do is every client I work with, like I'm working with a corporate guy at the moment, it's the first corporate guy, Jack Rubin from a company called B Direct, and I'm actually being brought in to drive the company to $1 billion. My job is to create the greatest human being there is. That's what I do. And when you create the greatest human being, guess what? All the results come. But you must have moral authority. What you say, integrity, belief, all the things that your parents teach you when you were younger. And before you go, Bill, there's a book for you. If someone wants to get one of my books, there's one for Bill. You already got one, Mark. You've already got one,
Bradley.
Jimmy.
The Science
And
of
there's
Belief.
Trent.
Thank you.
It's on the Amazon website, but if you want to get one with a personal signature, just connect with me on LinkedIn.
Show us your ring. Show us the ring.
I've had many clients that actually look after me. I got this today, a special gift, and they've been so generous and given me, jerseys and testimonials and clients. And today, I picked up a special ring. And I'd just like to say thank you to Trent and the Roosters. This means a lot.
An NRL Premiership ring.
Yeah.
There
You
you
don't
go.
get that every day.
There you go.
Pretty cool.
Bradley Charles Stubbs, thank you. Best of luck, and we'll probably catch up at some stage soon.
There's no such thing as luck.
It's not an energy word, Bill.
I told you.
No.
You
I've blown it. I blew the punchline.
It's become the #1 sports show in
telling you.
Australia. Done, 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 done.
There we go.
Thank you, very grateful for having me on.
don't
guys.
get him
That I
on for
like.
the Melbourne Cup next year. That's me.
All right. Okay.